Hey, look, we're going to be out of here in just a few minutes, but look, I got this. I want you to pay attention, kind of quiet down in the back. I hear a lot of noises. This guy, he came into our office about, I guess it's 25 years ago. And we were together, and he came in, he worked at a chemical plant, and you just, when you see somebody that you know wants to be somebody special, this is that guy. And he came in, and he had one leg shorter than the other, but he didn't wear one of those platform shoes. He wore regular shoes, so I knew he wanted to be special, right? Didn't want to wear that silly-looking thing. Now he doesn't limp at all. I picked him up at the airport, hadn't seen him in 20 years almost, and he wasn't limping anymore. So what happened? He said, I had 6 operations. Unbelievable guy, unbelievable talent. The reason we hooked back up is because his company, when he was with it, and we just got him to come with us full time, his company, when he was with it, he sold 12,000 policies last year. Him and 20 guys. I said, how do you do that? He said, I've shown people how to solve the prospecting problem. You worry about getting people in a natural market. I just worry about recruiting them, and I'll show them how to go get as many appointments as they want. And so we brought him into the company. He's helping us build this thing, but he's a tremendous talent, well-known. He's blogs in over 120 companies. He's got a book in the back. It's a bestseller. Bob Fiacco.
Hear me?
Just a second.
This is, I mean, the Hansons, David, the folks, I feel like Weird Al Yankovic following Michael Bublé, for crying out loud. I mean, it's not bad enough I'm nervous like a cat in a doghouse about speaking in front of you, and I'll kind of share that as we talk. But Bloom and me were out together about a month and a half ago, and I did this talk. And I'm surprised he asked me to be here today because we get done, I get done with the talk, and you know how when you get done at a meeting, there's always people milling around, I'm getting my notes together, and these 2 guys are standing in the front row, and the one guy says to the other guy, goes, that's the worst talk I've ever heard. Well, I'm a big guy, but I'm sensitive. I mean, I got feelings, right? So I'm a little dejected. I try to stay positive, and Bloom, being the guy he is, the inspiration he is, he sees that I kind of dejected, and he heard what they said. He comes over, puts his arm around me, he says, Fiacco, don't listen to those 2 idiots. I know both of them. They don't have a thought of their own between them. They're just repeating what everybody else in the room's been saying. So, I mean, the crowd I had to follow today and yesterday, I am humbled to be here. But I'm excited to share with you guys. I want to tell you this too. He mentioned my book. If you would buy it, think about buying it anyways. It's not that good. I wrote it. I don't like it. But I'm embarrassed to say this. My wife has a gambling problem, and it's me. Okay. Last night I kind of stayed up late, and I was going to my room, and they have those little stickers all over, Gamblers Anonymous. So I got up to the room and I said, I think I better call him. So I dial him up, and the lady's on the phone, and she says, sir, I think we can help you. And I go, you want to bet? So anyway, buy my book. It'll help me out. Guys, I want to talk to you today about the 7 lies of success. And I'll tell you, Bloom was right. When I met him, I limped really bad. I had a chipped tooth. I had a bad afro. I didn't have any money, a beat-up old car. But I had a big heart and a big dream, and I wanted to be something. But I struggled terribly to be successful. And that journey has been probably the greatest blessing in my life. But the 7 lies of success, and what I want to talk to you about today, I borrowed it or I stole it from Tony Robbins' book, Unlimited Power. And I'm a little leery about saying this because David, in the back room, I heard used to be Tony Robbins' partner, so David, speak well of me if you speak. I did give him credit. But this book changed my life, okay? Ron Blumenkemper changed my life, but this book also changed my life. I would go to meetings like this when I first got in this industry. Now, people meet me today and they see me and they say, God, Bob, you're natural. You were born to do this. Let me tell you this. I quit this business 3 times in the first 3 years I was in it. Now, I didn't just mentally do like some of you and stay home and watch Oprah all day. I physically checked out and went back to doing construction work because the fear that I had in my heart about not just fear of call reluctance, although I had it tremendously in my heart. I was afraid of succeeding. I was afraid of failing. Fear is the greatest obstacle in our life. But I would go to meetings like this, and I would hear about, read this book and read that book. So I'd go buy the book. And I remember one time buying a book. I went out to my car, and I was rummaging to get change to buy this book for $9. I get home, and I'm reading this book, and I'm 2 chapters into it. Folks, I literally threw it in the garbage pail. I was so angry. And and my wife used to joke me, she says, you've got more positive attitude books for a guy who doesn't have any money than anybody I know. And I was angry, and you know why I was angry? Because this book said the same thing that all the other ones said. That, Bob, it's about you. You're the problem. You're the one that's got to change. You got to believe in yourself. You got to be more positive. And guys, I thought there was a secret. The fellow that was up here a little while, there is no secret. Well, I was getting ready to leave the business for the last time. I had left 3 times. I was discouraged. I wasn't making any money. I couldn't sleep. I'm sitting up one night late. Now, this is in the late 80s, okay? Or early 80s, excuse me, when infomercials first came out. So I'm watching 2 o'clock in the morning, I can't sleep, and this guy comes on, Tony Robbins. He's had a head bigger than mine. That caught my attention in itself. But I'm listening to this guy, and he's talking about this book, Unlimited Power. And guys, I went out and got this book, and it literally changed my life. And Tony Robbins calls this is one little chapter. It's called The 7 Lies of Success. And here's why he calls them lies. Because if you're sitting out there and when I get done with this, you go, oh boy, what a bunch of hooey that was. Then you're absolutely right. That's what it was, is a bunch of hooey. But if you choose to believe what I'm going to tell you, like I chose to believe when I read it, it can change your life forever. See, Tony Robbins said this, life is about choices and success is a choice. He says it's simple. There's 3 things, and we've heard these things all day for 2 days in a row, the things I'm going to share with you. That's why it's even harder for me to be up here, because all the other speakers have said the same thing. Tony Robbins studied hundreds of successful people, living and deceased, and he boiled it down to certain common denominators. But there were 3 things that he said that successful people all have in common. Number 1 is they all can see the future. They see what they want before it gets there. Like, you want one of those $250,000 rings? I want one of those. I don't know if you talked about the $500,000 ring, Petro. That's the one I want, baby. But was that award ceremony incredible? Did you see those? Hey, guys, did you see those swords and those shields and that helmet? My wife and I are staying here until next Tuesday, but I'm going to the airport today because I want to see the people going through customs with this, especially my Filipino friends. I got to go and watch this. This is going to be incredible. But guys, Tony Robbins says you got to see what you want out of life before you get there. The second thing is he says you have to take action. Without action, everything else is useless. And the third thing he says is this: you have to have the flexibility to change when things aren't going the right way. You see, sometimes we get so stubborn and we hear something and we think it's the right thing, and we're failing, we're struggling, and we won't move. He says it's that simple. But he says there's one other big thing. He says, you know, and this is what I've found in my life, folks. It isn't about the X's and O's. I mean, we learned so many good things in the last 2 days about, you know, indexing and annuities and, God, things I can't even remember. It's so confusing. That's why Bloom doesn't know anything. I mean, it's so complex. How could he? Okay? But it's not really, guys, about all that stuff. Tony Robbins says this: it's about what's in here and what's in here that will ultimately make a man or a woman successful. Life is about choices, and success is a choice. Now, I believe this. When I wake up in the morning, all I need to be is inspired. That's it. The rest of it will take care of itself. I meet people every day that say, I don't need the rah-rah stuff. I don't need to be hyped up. Well, how's that working for you? All what we need is to be excited about what we're doing in our life so that we can jump out of bed in the morning and say, thank God for letting me be up today. Thank God for letting me go out and change somebody's life. That's what we've got to be able to instill in our hearts and in our minds and in our souls. But it's not always easy to do it when life is beating us up, guys. Okay? So let me talk to you a little bit real quick about the 7 lies of success, because I know they'll put the hook on my butt here before too long. Lie number 1, everything happens for a reason and a purpose, and it serves us. You know, I said a few minutes ago that life was about choices. Well, I had to make a choice. I don't know. I'm not as old as you, Bloom, but I'm pretty old. I'm 58. Probably 40, maybe 50 years ago, I had to make a choice. See, I was born with something called a congenital hip. And when I was a couple days old, a virus ate my ball and socket of my left hip. I won't talk about any of my other private parts, by the way. But it ate the ball and socket out of my hip joint away. And my left leg was 4 inches shorter than my right leg until I was 45 years old. If you walked down the hall with me, I'd knock you over. And it used to be kind of like a puppy messed in my shoe, and I was trying not to step in it when I would walk. But, you know, when I was growing up, I grew up in the 50s. They didn't have political correctness back then, okay? So kids made fun of me. They put me out in left field with no gloving and beat me up if I didn't catch the ball. I mean, all the things you could think about. Well, I had to make a choice. Now, guys, I didn't know that I was making a choice at the time. And the choice was, what do I do? Do I curl up in a ball and become an introvert, or do I do something different? And, you know, I don't know why. I had great parents. They never let me feel sorry for myself. But you know what I did instead, and I thank God every day for this? I started to make fun of myself before other people made fun of me. So I became the biggest jokester in school. I was the funniest guy in school. People loved me. I could make people roll making fun of the way I walked and stuff. They thought it was incredible. I figured out that if I worked just as hard or a little bit harder than everybody else, people were awestruck by it. See, I didn't know I limped when I walked. Unless I looked in the mirror, I didn't know it. I didn't know something was wrong with me. People had to tell me, I guess, but I didn't know it. But I had to make a choice, okay? Everything in our life is about a choice of whether we want it to be good or bad. Guys, when we wake up in the morning, life is going to attack us. You know, Ron mentioned I have a blog. Ron calls me about 6-7 months ago. We hadn't talked in years, and he says, Fiacco, did you write a book? I go, yeah. He goes, I didn't think you could read. And I go, well, you don't have to know how to write a book. But I have a blog, okay, that I write, an inspirational insurance blog. I write it every week, and I write it from my heart. And in November of this year, I wrote a blog called, What the Hell Do I Got to Be Thankful For? See, on November 27th, 2012, I had went to a spin class, you know, with the girls, where you ride the bikes in the gym. And I came home to take a shower to go to the office, and I was coming out of my garage, and I slipped, and I tore the quad tendon completely from the bone in my right leg, which was my good leg. My left leg's my bad leg. They had to operate on it 2 days later. I was in a body cast. I was having such tremendous mental just anguish because of all the years when I was little that I was in cast. My wife had to call the doctor and force him to take the cast off me and put me in a brace. A month later, while I'm in this brace, my dad dies. I can't go to the funeral. I can't go there to be with him when he's dying. A few months after that, I got sick and went in the hospital, was in intensive care, almost died from internal bleeding. And when I got out 2 days later, my company told me they didn't need me anymore after 8.5 years. Okay, so my blog is, What the Hell Do I Got to Be Thankful For? I have everything to be thankful for. I found a blessing in every one of those issues. And here's the thing, and I know you're sitting there, well, how could you find a blessing in your father dying? Let me tell you how. 4 years before my dad passed away, my mom died of cancer. My dad he's a big Italian guy, meaner than a son of a gun. He had a hole in his heart that was so big from losing my mom that nothing could fill it. He was the most sad. It broke my heart to see him. Well, you know what I choose to believe? I can feel sorry for myself that my mom and dad are gone. I can feel sorry that my dad isn't here anymore. But you know what? I choose to believe that he's in heaven with my mother, and he's happy today. You see, here's what it's about, guys. You guys are probably, there are people in this room experiencing things that are 10 times worse than I've ever experienced. I lost my job. You know what my wife told me? She said, Bob, go for it. You haven't been happy there for 4 years. You've wanted to run your own agency. I was working for a home office getting paid chicken feed. No renewals, nothing. Not appreciated. She says, Bob, go for it. You can do it. I'm doing what I want to do now. But guys, here's the deal. Everything happens in our lives for a reason and a purpose, and it will serve us if we allow it to. Okay, that's lie number one. Lie number two, there is no such thing as failure. Guys, I believe this. You don't fail at anything. You just quit. If you don't quit, you will never fail. You know, if you think about your life, I often think about the things in my life that I wanted, and I figured this one out. Anything I ever really wanted, I either have it or I'm working on it. Now, there's a whole bunch of stuff I thought about having. I figured out it was too hard to get, so I said, heck with it and quit trying to get it. I didn't fail at not getting it. We just decided we don't want it and we quit. Guys, if you don't quit in this business, I promise you, you will win. You know, I was flicking around the TV the other night, and remember the old Star Wars movies? How many of you like Star Wars, the old ones? You know, think like today, Liam Neeson is Obi-Wan. Come on. What the hell's that about? Okay, but I was watching Star Wars, and it was The Empire Strikes Back, and Luke Skywalker had to fly his X-Wing fighter to meet Yoda, you know, the little green guy, and he was going to learn about being a Jedi warrior. So he crashes his X-Wing fighter into this blog on this planet called Tatooine, and he learns all about the Force from Yoda, and he's got to go now and fight the Empire, right? So he's got to get his spaceship out of this marsh, this swamp. So Yoda says, use the Force, Luke. So Luke's straining, and he's trying to pick it up, and he falls back, and Yoda goes, Luke, use the Force. And Luke says this, he says, I'm trying. And Yoda says something that was profound. He says, there is no try, there is do or do not. You see, guys, we will either succeed with FEG or we will quit. It's one or the other. If you don't quit, you can be wearing a $250,000 ring. You can be wearing a $500,000 ring. It's all a matter of you never, ever, ever giving up. There is no failure. Lie number three. Whatever happens, take responsibility. Guys, this is a tough one. You want to be free in your life? You feel burdened right now about anything? I'm going to tell you right now. Think about the things in your life that have went wrong and try to find what your fault was in everything that's happened. Guys, if you take the responsibility for where you are, you become free. The day we start blaming Ron or Petro or Bill Sinclair because we're struggling because FEG is this or they're that or they didn't do this, guys, we become a prisoner and a slave to that thought. But the day we take responsibility for where we are in our business, in our personal lives, in our family lives, we become free. John Kennedy became a true leader, I think, when the Bay of Pigs happened. He got on national TV and he said this. He said, the Bay of Pigs was a debacle and I accept full responsibility. Guys, people don't want to take the blame for where they are in life today. But if we'll do that, guys, I'm telling you right now, we will win in life and you will be free and you'll be much, much happier. Lie number four. It's not necessary to understand everything to be able to use everything. Guys, think about this last 2 days. I mean, good Lord, annuities and LSW and Anaco. You guys have got more company names with acronyms than some of the other insurance companies I've worked for. Guys, if you think you have to know everything before you go out and start talking to people about what we do, you will never go anywhere. You cannot let the fear of what you don't know stop you. My friend Al said his 5 steps to success. My dog, Bagger Vance, if I could get him to push a computer button, could hire people in this business and succeed. Well, I can't get him to talk on a phone. That'd be another issue, I guess. But, you know, think about, guys, how simple it is. Hey, are you by your computer? Let me send you something. Call me when you're done. Guys, our system is so simple. Now, there's all this stuff behind that we got to learn. This company has some of the best learning material I've ever seen in 38 years in this business, guys. We can figure out the partnerships, the relationships, the love that I feel from the people in this room, from the leadership that we have. You can go, Ron Blumenkamper, I've never met a guy as successful as him in his role that will call anybody you ask him to call. Guys, we have got an incredible opportunity. What we cannot do is allow what we don't know to hold us back. You don't have to know everything to use everything. Belief number 5, people are our greatest resource. How many of you feel like you're a people person? Everybody, right? Well, let me ask you this. Are you only a people person when it suits your needs? When you want to make a buck off of somebody? Let me ask you this. How'd you treat the waitress this morning when you were trying to get your coffee and the line was 2 hours long and you were mad and you got up there in her cash register? You know, guys, to me, to thine own self be true. People can smell us out if we're phony. If we truly care about the crusade has to be beyond making money. You have to do the right thing. Your heart and your soul have to be united, because at the end of the day, who we are comes through when we're doing business, guys. I've been out on appointments with people that will say, we sit down to start a sales call with a new rep, and the new rep will go, how you doing today? And the people will start talking, and he'll go right into sales pitch, cut the people off. Folks, people are not stupid. They can smell you out if you are a phony. And when we do things that are good and right, we have to do them for the right reason, or it will come back and it will bite us in the butt and it'll embarrass you. And let me tell you a story real quick. Sometimes I'm not, my wife will tell you, I know you think I'm perfect, just from today, but I'm not, okay? I'm driving in Virginia. I ran the state of Virginia for Colonial Life, and I'd get up early in the morning, go up on these buoys. I'm coming home one afternoon. It's cold, really cold. It was in the kind of late fall, just getting ready to be winter. And it was kind of neat up there because wherever there's a gas station, there's a McDonald's connected to it. Before I lost all the weight, I couldn't drive by a McDonald's without stopping. In fact, when I lost all the weight, they sent me a card making sure I was okay, because their stock was plummeting because I hadn't been eating any Big Macs. But so I stopped, pulled over to go in and get a burger. And I walk in, and I look in the corner, like outside, and there's this kid shivering. You know, now I'm getting older. It's hard to tell how old people are. The kid didn't have a coat on. He was scruffy looking. I'm thinking, that poor homeless young guy, gee whiz. And so I go in, and I get a burger, and I'm coming out, and, you know, I said, you know what? Okay, I said, hey, buddy, can I get you a hamburger, Coke, or something? He looks at me, he goes, I'll take a mineral water. Well, mineral water? I offered you a hamburger, for crying out loud. You're going to be choosy? So I didn't even know what a mineral water was. My wife says, do you live in a cave, Bob? Do you not know what goes on around you? So I said, okay, man. So I go in the store. So I go up to the cashier, and I say, hey, man, what's mineral water? He says, there's a whole rack of it over there. It's got all fancy names on it. So I go over, and I'm looking, and it was the coolest thing. Like, it has these, like, words like empowerment, encouragement. I'm thinking, my God, this is a sign. I can pick out the right message for this young man and change his life. So I'm looking to see if there's one that says, get a job, okay? So, I'm checking out, right? So I find this one that says, I can't remember what it says, but I felt so. Now, here's the sad thing. I didn't care about him being thirsty now. This was about Bob. I was going to make myself feel good, right? So I get the water. I forget I think it said empower. I was going to empower this young man's life. So I get the water, and I check it out, and I'm like, just all puffed out, and I go out there, and so here you go, son. So I'm standing there, and he's looking at me like, what the hell? He goes, what do you want, man? I go, you going to drink it? So I figured he'd take a drink, and he'd be metamorphosized right in front of me, right? He said, well, I'm not thirsty right now, man. So I'm like deflated, and then all of a sudden I see this black Mercedes SUV pull on. He said, hey, dude, I got to go. My mom's here. And he gets in the car and drives away. You got to do things for the right reason, okay? If you do it for the wrong reason, it'll back up on you. People are our greatest resource. Number 6, work is play. Mark Twain said this, make your vocation your vacation. Guys, I want you to think about what we do for a living. We get up in the morning, if we want to, when we want to. We get dressed in our best clothes or whatever we want to do, if we want to. And we go out and talk to people and change their lives. And we'll make 100, 200, 300 petrol, $500,000 to do it. How could we not love what we do? And here's the greatest thing about it. I see hundreds and thousands of people that are in the insurance business. And you know what they do? They sell insurance for a living. We have a crusade that we can go on. We can change people's lives forever with a product that most of them don't know about, with problems that are unbelievable, that people can't even fathom the tsunami that is going to hit them financially in this world. I'm telling you, we have an incredible opportunity. I get so jacked up about this. My wife thinks I'm insane. I get up at 3 in the morning. It's not because I got to pee. I am so turned on about life, I can't sleep half the time. I mean, I believe this. I believe this. When I get up every day, I'm going to meet the next person that I'm going to help make $100,000 a year. I'm going to help the next person have a life that's different than they've ever dreamed of having. I'm going to help that person take their spouse to Hawaii. Guys, I believe that. I think Ron Petro said it so perfectly the other night. I don't know if he was talking about him or he might have been talking about my friend Tom Lee. When are you going to retire? Retire from what? I mean, I'm going to have a colostomy bag, a walker, and if I can get Anaco to pay the long-term care benefit, I'll get a 21-year-old nurse to keep my fly back. And I'm going to be going out and telling this story, guys. Guys, how can you not love? Now, you may be mad, Petro, Bill, Ron, for me saying this, okay? I'm almost done. Only one more, okay? You're not putting on the hook on me now. I'm too big for you these days. No. Guys, if you don't love what you're doing, do something else. Petro says, stay out of my space. Life is too short for you not to love what you're doing. But guys, I'm telling you, you just got to take action in this business and you'll fall in love with it. You pay one death claim, you will fall in love with what we do. Lie number 7, and I'm almost done, Bloom. There's no abiding success without commitment. Anna Pavlova, the great Russian ballerina, said this: to follow without halt one aim, that is success. You see, people, we don't like to use the C word anymore, commitment. But let me say this, we're either committed to something or we're committed to nothing. So we're committed one way or another. My favorite saying, I had this when I wrestled in high school, and I was not a great wrestler, but I worked hard, I had a big heart, and I tried my best. But this I had written in crayon on my wall. It's by Calvin Coolidge. It says, nothing in the world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent. Guys, if you see the future and you take action and you're flexible enough to change as you go and you find the right core values and beliefs in your heart, you will win in this business. I believe this, and I'm going to close with this. There are special times in history and in business history where all of the cosmic tumblers line up and all the stars align. Guys, we are in a unique time in American history. There is a tsunami coming between health care reform and how they're going to pay for 100 million people having to be getting free insurance and the problems with 79 million baby boomers retiring. Guys, there is a tsunami that is out there waiting to hit you and me. And if we go to work and follow the FEG dream and take the crusade to the people, we can win big time. Thank you. This has been the greatest thrill of my life.